Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day, and thanks for joining me for this special episode of Secrets of the Trails. Today I want to take some time off the trail to discuss some recent legislative efforts in New Jersey and various local jurisdictions around the country that could have serious consequences for cyclists, trail users, and anyone who cares about active transportation. Recently, lawmakers in New Jersey have put forward a bill that would require all electric bikes, regardless of power, speed, or design, to be licensed, registered, and insured just like motorcycles. I've also read on various social media cycling forums that similar laws and regulations are either being planned or have already been implemented in other areas of the country, most notably in local municipalities. But the New Jersey bills are an example of statewide restrictions on e-bikes. And while this might sound reasonable at first glance, the problem is this: it completely misunderstands what an e-bike actually is. So let's start by clearing up a common misconception. An e-bike is still a bicycle. It is absolutely not a motor vehicle. The widely adopted three-class e-bike system, which New Jersey already recognizes, goes like this. Class 1 is pedal assist only with a maximum motor assisted speed of 20 miles per hour. Class 2 is a throttle assist, again with a maximum motor assisted speed of 20 miles per hour. Class 3 is a pedal assist with a maximum motor assisted speed of 28 miles per hour. Now, while there are some differences among the classes of e-bikes in terms of whether one type has a throttle and another doesn't, the important point is what all three classes of e-bikes have in common. They all have fully operable pedals. They're all human-powered first. They all use relatively small electric motors, no greater than 750 watts, and the motor system is designed to assist, not replace, pedaling. In fact, federal law defines e-bikes as low-speed electric bicycles, using criteria that match the established three-class system. The CPSC says that a vehicle that doesn't meet all three requirements isn't an electric bicycle, it's a motor vehicle. E-bikes weigh roughly the same as a touring bike with packed panniers, move at speeds similar to what a non-e-bike cyclist can achieve, and are already governed by existing traffic laws and trail rules. In nearly every jurisdiction in the country, cyclists who are using public roads are expected to follow standard traffic rules that apply to motor vehicles, including stopping at stop signs, obeying traffic signals, yielding to pedestrians and at posted intersections, signaling their intentions to turn, and not exceeding posted speed limits. Even on many multi-use trails, speed limits for bicycles, which include e-bikes, are usually posted at 15 miles per hour. Even when they're not, it's widely understood among cyclists that they shouldn't exceed 15 miles per hour. And while you may find some e-bike manufacturers that will offer a software tweak for a Class 2 throttle-equipped e-bike to act like a Level 3 in terms of maximum motor-assisted speed, for example, my Aventon Level 2 has this capability, the point is that none of the e-bikes that conform to the three standard classes, and thus the Consumer Product Safety Act, have the capability to exceed 28 miles per hour motor-assisted speed. Now, the term motor-assisted is very important here. Let's face it, anyone on a bicycle, standard or e-bike, can very easily exceed 28 miles per hour if you're going downhill and you're pedaling really hard. But that isn't the norm. Most people who use e-bikes, or standard bicycles for that matter, are doing it for exercise, for getting out into nature, relaxing, spending time with family or friends, commuting to or from work, or running local errands. Add to this the fact that e-bikes are very popular among our older population, as well as people who have disabilities or other movement issues, including myself. E-bikes allow us to be able to ride a bicycle with minimal difficulty or pain because of the motor-assisted capability of an e-bike that isn't possible with a standard bicycle. Now, I know that some older e-bikers will love to whinge on about the stereotypical lycra-clad youngster seemingly racing down a trail while sneering at us e-bikers for taking the easy way out of cycling or something similar to that. But I think there's one thing that both standard and e-cyclists can agree on. We're typically not out there on trails or public roads acting like we're training for the Tour de France and creating a danger to ourselves or others. And it's this point that's really important when trying to distinguish e-bikes from other types of powered two-wheel vehicles. Now let's talk about what people are actually upset about and what should be the real focus of such proposed legislation: e-motos. They're also referred to as electric dirt bikes or electric motorcycles, and they are in a completely different category. The electric motors on e-motos are much higher than 750 watts, some reaching 1,000, 5,000, or even 10,000 watts, and as such they can very easily exceed 30 miles per hour, and some can even reach highway speeds of 65 miles per hour or more. Under federal law, they are actual motor vehicles and as such are subject to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration regulations and are not classified in the same way as actual e-bikes in federal statutes. Yet they're sold online and in stores frequently marketed as e-bikes, even though functionally they're not actually e-bikes at all. Worse still, some e-moto manufacturers, including Juiced Bikes, Onyx, and others, exploit a legal loophole by adding a Class 2 mode that artificially limits the top speed to 20 miles per hour, or by adding stationary pedals so that they might look like an e-bike and then they can market them as street-legal e-bikes on social media. A lot of these e-motos are being purchased either by teenagers or for teenagers by parents who haven't done their homework and may not know that these e-motos aren't actually e-bikes, don't know how powerful they are, and don't know how they can be modified. The fact is that an e-moto's limiter can be disabled by a magnet, a series of keystrokes, or a simple YouTube tutorial, hacks that are rarely put on paper by the manufacturers but are very frequently shared by owners on social media. And this exposes the big problem with e-motos. When people see someone flying down a trail at 35 miles per hour on something that casually looks like an e-bike, they don't say, "Wow, that's an illegally operated electric motorcycle." They say, "E-bikes are dangerous." But this is wholly inaccurate because no study has actually proven that. Now, I'm a medical provider and I know how to read research studies, and I've seen the studies that some of these jurisdictions, including New Jersey, appear to be using to justify their claim that all electric-powered two-wheelers are dangerous and require restrictions. But from Fernandez to Burford to DiMaggio and Eunice, there's one consistent problem. All of the studies specifically exclude e-motos in their findings and instead rely on vague datasets from NEISS that misclassify e-bikes, lumping them in the same coding category as e-motos and powered scooters. I'll have more information available on this major limitation of these studies and how they can be done properly on secretsofthetrails.com so that this video can be a little shorter. So please check that out and share that information with others. So instead of enforcing existing federal definitions or cracking down on misrepresented vehicles, their manufacturers, and their riders who likely aren't trained to properly ride what is actually an electric motorcycle, some jurisdictions are going about this the wrong way, proposing so-called solutions that actually serve to punish every e-biker across the board by erroneously lumping them and their e-bikes in the same category as e-motos and their riders, and relying on incomplete and inaccurate data to justify their push for e-bike restrictions. Creating local and state laws based on this misclassification of what is and is not an e-bike is frankly a horrible attempt to apply a one-size-fits-all bandage on the issue, while these legislators ignore what they should be doing, holding accountable the various e-moto manufacturers who are deliberately exploiting lax governmental enforcement of e-motos and very often minimizing the dangers of these motor vehicles in the wrong or untrained hands, especially teenagers. Forcing e-bikes into a motor vehicle classification causes real harm in a number of ways. It creates a barrier to entry. Requiring licensing, registration, and insurance of low-power e-bikes would add significant cost and would increase bureaucratic barriers for e-bikers. It's exactly the opposite of what we should want for safe, sustainable transportation. Such regulations wouldn't make e-motos less accessible or less dangerous in the wrong hands. They'd have the unintended consequence of making actual e-bikes less affordable and less attractive to e-bike users who see an e-bike as a tool for their daily lives and their health, not as a toy to race like e-motos are often used for. It discourages active transportation. E-bikes reduce car trips, congestion, vehicle emissions, and deadly pollution, as well as parking demand. They are a fantastic green transportation option. Making e-bikes harder to own and use pushes people back into cars. Not only would this negatively impact the overall public health, it would also increase motor vehicle traffic and potential traffic accidents, as well as increase fossil fuel energy use, leading to increased emissions and pollution and all that cometh with. It breaks trail access. Most multi-use trails are designed for bicycles, not motor vehicles. But if a jurisdiction reclassifies e-bikes as motor vehicles, then trail managers in those jurisdictions may have no choice but to ban them outright, even when they're causing no real safety issues at all. As I mentioned earlier, while the studies already done are using badly coded data sets, the wider body of evidence appears to show that improper use of e-motos are causing more traumatic injuries and deaths than responsible adults riding e-bikes. I can personally attest to improper use because I've actually seen it. I've seen some young e-moto riders over the years weaving in and out of local town traffic, racing their e-motos and illegally riding their e-motos on rail trails when they think that they can get away with it. And many of them weren't wearing head protection at all, which itself compounds the danger of a high-powered e-moto. If such laws reclassifying e-bikes as motor vehicles were allowed to be enacted in various jurisdictions or across the country, then potentially millions of e-bikers would find themselves being banned from multi-use trails, one of the safest places for us to ride. It solves the wrong problem. Let's be clear here. While the original intention of such legislation may be honorable, an effort to reduce injury and death, the riders causing concern are almost never on legally defined e-bikes. They're on e-motos, which some manufacturers and riders erroneously claim are e-bikes. Now, I don't want to get down on young people here, but studies and real-world evidence point to a high number of injuries that emergency room data classify as being related to an e-bike are actually on e-motos and by people under 25. So creating a one-size-fits-all legislation that unjustifiably lumps e-bikes in the same category as motor vehicles doesn't only ignore the actual federal definitions of these products, it solves the wrong problem. Such legislation wouldn't necessarily stop illegal e-moto use, it would effectively criminalize normal cyclists. And it wouldn't solve the real problem of how to reduce injuries and deaths on and by e-motos, which should be the real focus here. Groups like People for Bikes, the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition, the Bicycle Coalition of Philadelphia, and many other cycling and trail advocacy organizations oppose such legislation because we all understand what's really at stake here. This isn't just about New Jersey. If one state successfully reclassifies all e-bikes as motor vehicles, others may follow, and decades of progress in bicycle access, trail development, and mobility equity could unravel. Now let's face it, the e-moto problem exists at least partially because of regulatory gaps and inconsistent enforcement at all governmental levels. Advocacy organizations have been calling for comprehensive federal action for a long time. So the first place to start is right at the top with the federal government. The NHTSA standards are already there. E-motos definitely fall into the category of legal motor vehicles subject to federal motor vehicle safety standards regardless of the attempts by some e-moto manufacturers to label their products as off-road use only so that they can sneak around compliance regulations. We know that many e-moto users ride on public roads because the research shows that a high number of e-moto injuries occur there. So the NHTSA needs some teeth. They need explicit authority and resources to be able to enforce regulations already in place and require states and local jurisdictions to enforce proper use of e-motos, including proper training and mandatory helmet use by every e-moto rider, including teenagers. They also need to eliminate the off-road use loophole that, in my opinion, some of these e-moto manufacturers are deceptively using to market their products to people who have a higher risk of injury and death from improper use. They also need to enforce truthful advertising on the part of e-moto manufacturers and resellers, requiring that they clearly disclose to customers that the products are not e-bikes because they don't fit the federal definition of an electric bicycle. Customers need to be fully informed that the e-moto that they may be intending to buy for themselves or for their children are not bicycles, they are motor vehicles that require a license, registration, and insurance. Federal regulations need to be enforced that explicitly prohibit any false advertising of motor vehicles as e-bikes, and they need to enforce penalties for violations. Until the federal government comes up with these concrete actions, states need to step up to the plate and coordinate with each other to fully recognize and enforce in their state statutes the existing federal definitions and differences between an e-bike and an e-moto, and not try to rewrite the federal laws. States need to universally acknowledge what the federal government already says, that e-bikes are low-power electric vehicles and not motor vehicles and thus are not subject to licensing and restrictions. States need to enforce licensing, registration, insurance, and age limit requirements for e-moto use in their states, reflecting the federal statutes defining e-motos as motor vehicles. They need to start including e-motos in their motor vehicle licensing process, requiring proof of license, state registration with a vehicle identification number, and proof of motorcycle type insurance before the purchase can be completed. States need to push their local municipal governments and police forces to actively enforce compliance with motor vehicle laws by E-Moto owners and riders in an effort to increase traffic safety and reduce injury and death from improper or illegal E-Moto use. By enforcing e-bike class definitions, cracking down on mislabeled electric motorcycles, educating retailers and consumers, regulating bicycles and motor vehicles not out of fear or political grift, but based on standard definitions of speed, weight, and design, we can not only protect legitimate e-bike users, but also make e-moto use safer. This shouldn't be about punishing e-bike riders or even vilifying e-moto users. It's about following established definitions and laws to make everyone safer on our roads and trails. E-bikes aren't the enemy of cycling. They're one of its strongest allies. They get more people riding more often and for longer distances. They make trails more inclusive. They replace excessive motor vehicle use, and they keep cycling relevant in a changing world. Laws based on misunderstanding don't improve safety. They just create new problems. Education is paramount here, so if you care about trails, cycling access, or active transportation, now is the time to pay attention and to speak up. If you're in New Jersey or any other jurisdiction proposing these one-size-fits-all laws, I encourage you to contact your government officials and let them know that you oppose any law or ordinance that misclassifies e-bikes as motor vehicles. Educate others about this topic. Visit the websites for various bicycle and trail advocacy organizations for more information and share this information with others. Knowledge is power and can really make a difference here. At Secrets of the Trails, one of my goals is to educate everyone on enjoyable and safe trail experiences no matter what you're riding. I do hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please smash that like button, as one of my favorite YouTubers says. Subscribe and share this video with others so that we can all work together to encourage proper and safe access to our streets and trails for standard and electric bicycles as well as for e-motos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you out on the trail. Have a great ride.